Hey everybody, we're back. We're going to go through Revelation chapter 21, and that goes over the third earth age, which is basically God with us. There's no more separation, there is no more temple needed because at this point, God will be with us. You won't need any, we'll be able to talk to Him and live with Him. He be our Father. Oh, hi, yeah, well, good. I'm glad. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Ah, I'm glad you can be here today. Good. We learned yesterday. We went over a couple chapters, and we're almost at the end of the book. Well, I'm glad you're here, Oystein. I really am. I like it when people come in. Good. So, we found out where Satan's going during the millennium and then being let loose. I keep telling everybody this is what's going to happen, and then we read about it. Hi, Jim. And what to expect in the 21st and 22nd chapters is just all about the throne of God and what's going to happen to the bad people, but what's going to be for the good people too. So there's these two chapters, the Bible talks about the throne of God. Hi, JD. And there's just all sorts of places in the Bible. I love Isaiah. If you go to the back of the book in Isaiah, it really talks about it. So, but here it's kind of all formed together into a couple chapters where you can get an idea of what it is and what it's like. So, we're going to start. Revelation chapter 21, 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. So in this last, he is going to rejuvenate the earth, make it like the first earth age, and how there was no sea, and that's how everybody could live on the earth at the same time, because there was space. There wasn't any water or anything like that to, where you couldn't live. It's just all land. And I, John, saw the holy city, a new Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So at the great white, after the millennium, the great white throne judgment happens. That's when God comes down. That is when he is with us. And that's when the judgment begins. The true judgment of him, separating the good from the bad. And everybody is judged accordingly to their works, whether good or bad. But we're all, hi Daniel, but we're all judged fairly. We're judged on our own merits. So what we've done. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. So no more temple needed. And he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. So the separation right now is sin. It was Satan's rebellion. And this is why, during the millennium, that the people getting out of the Gulf and stuff who did not overcome, who still have mortal spirits, meaning liable to die. They have to be tested, and those are considered dead still until they pass the last time when Satan is let out. Everybody has to be tested, tried. And so Jesus himself, he doesn't come to the dead. It is the 144,000 who went astray. And even the 7,000, they are able to go into the gulf for mother, father, brother, or sister that isn't married. But I'm sure he makes, you know, because I could go see my sister. I could go get her out. So, you know, he's fair on it, you know. But this is after all of that, after the millennium, after the great white throne judgment. Anything that offends, anything bad, all evil rudiment, the earth has been rejuvenated, and now we're all on it. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death. Satan is death. The whole reason for the redemption plan and being in this flesh age right now, he's gone, and anything associated with it. And it's going to be a different dimension. So you're not going to be in flesh bodies either. And it's just a completely different dimension. The reason why you can't see God right now is because you're in this dimension and he's in another dimension. Neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things have passed away. So during this great white throne judgment, the evil, everything is cast into the lake of fire and got rid of. From ashes within, everything is destroyed, gotten rid of. The lake of fire is gone. Everything. Any remembrance of someone who didn't make it doesn't even go into your mind. They're just blotted out of existence like they were never there. Okay, any more pain, for the former things have passed away. So we got through this period of time, then we got through the millennium, and now these are the rewards. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I will make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely. So this is like, you know, the truth, the word of God. Even in not in the millennium, but in eternity, there's a tree that's there that you eat the leaves that brings any kind of boredom or anything. It's like healing. Hi, Stacy. So everything is new, but old in the same word as being brought back to the first earth age in that setting. But there's no more Satan there. There's no evil, nothing. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. So that's anybody. That's just anybody who makes it through. It's not gender specific or anything like that. It's just his children. But the fearful and the unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake of fire, which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. We talked about this yesterday and through some other series that we've been going through, but the first death is the death of your flesh. And we are all supposed to come down. That was the redemption plan, to come down, be born of woman, out of the water into this dimension, this time and space. That was the thing with the fallen angels. They didn't do that. They just came down. So that was like that, at the rebellion, Satan was already sentenced to death. So he's a dead man walking, really. I mean, and all the fallen angels with him, those are already judged to death. But the difference between the fallen angels and Satan is named because he is the son of perdition that comes in, you know, that comes in saying he is God. And all his little followers don't all have names that we can identify them as, but just that they've fallen down with him. And when he does come, they're going to do exactly what Satan wants them to do, but God himself has put into their mind to do specific things to his children, to test them. So the second death is basically the death of the spirit. It's like, don't fear those who can kill your flesh body, but fear him who can kill both your flesh and your spirit. Kill means done, done, done. Like a corpse. It is dead. There is nothing in there. It's dead. That's how it will be with the spirit body. Gone, done away with. No more remembrance. Throughout history, people have died and born and died and born. We don't remember them. I mean, it may be a relative or something, but when they die, they're not remembered. So at the end of the great white throne judgment, all those people, that remembrance, it's just gone. And they're not in the lake of fire being burned up day and night. It just means that it's permanently gone. Nothing left, and nothing that will be able to come back. So it's just gone. And there came unto me one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, full of the seven last plagues. And talked with me, saying, Come hither, I will show thee the bride of the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. So we're going to be on earth to witness the holy city after the great white throne judgment. We're all set up where we're supposed to be, and it comes down. And there's like a lot of images and pictures and things like that depict this great city, but it goes into it here. But it's so big and so wide. It's just amazing. Okay. Having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. It's purity. Had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of children of Israel. So during the millennium, those stones that the Zadok wear is like a memorial type thing to bring into remembrance. So everything, these stones have a lot of meaning to them, and that could be like a huge study in itself. But it is when, they were crossing over into Israel, and God told them, build up these 12 stones as a memorial to what God has given you. And I believe even to this day you can go see it, but it's never been taken down. On the east gate, let's see, on the east, 3 gates, on the north, 3 gates, on the south, 3 gates, and on the west, 3 gates. So the tribes' names are written on each one. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations. So it's boom, 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 up. And in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So each one according to the apostle name and number. And he that talked with me had a golden reed. So back in chapter 11, we found that the reed was for destruction. This is basically to bring in peace and order, safety, and discipline. To measure the city and the gates thereof and the wall thereof. And the city lieth 4 square, and the length is as large as the breadth. So it's the same equal measure, both high and below. Let's see. And he measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. I think that comes to like 15,000 square feet up and across. I mean, that is huge. I saw it, but I only saw a very small portion. And I think I saw the whole thing, but it was wiped from my memory. But what I did see, there is no temple there. There's a spot where I saw Christ and God sitting at, but we're as his children, literally. This is how we think of him and love him. And everybody just wants to be around him. Now, in the nations, it's a little bit different. Just like we have the division of nations, even in this day, and how the nations were formed before Eth HaAdam, it will be the same here as well in the eternity. And that is just how God has created everything. So, yes, there are different. I don't know. I mean, I'm not being racist, but there are black people, there are white people, there are yellow people, and they all belong in their own tribes. So that's just how it is. That's just how God created everything. Because if the tribes, if all the world were in this, it wouldn't just have the 12 tribes in there, their names and stuff. It would include all of it. Let's see. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. So just ending that one. Verse 17, and he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man that is of the angel. So angels are us, just in the spiritual form. They're just like us. They're just not in the flesh. They're up with God in heaven. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold like unto clear glass. So nothing offends. It's pure. It's just fine and refined, and you have peace there. Finally, there's nothing that offends. And the foundation of the wall of the city was garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, and the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, The 11th, jacinth. The 12th, amethyst. And if you notice, these are all the stones of the tribes. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. It's going to be really beautiful. It's nothing that you can even describe in words. You'll just have to see it. And I saw no temple therein, so no need, like we have temples now, and in the millennium will be the temple. The reason for that is because we're worshiping God through that temple. But God being with us, we don't need it anymore. For the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. So that kind of goes on from the millennium to this time. God is the light and the shining. And you know, in Genesis, when light was shown on the earth before even anything was built, this is his spirit. The Holy Spirit's light just shines on everything. In the nations, these are the ethnic people, the ethnos, of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. So they'll all be in their different tribes. The kings, the representatives that can come and worship God, will come in and bring their worship to him. That, trying to think, like the river of life right now up in paradise, it comes up, it comes from the very temple itself. The water comes down, the living water comes out of a little hole, and it forms into a little pool, and as it goes down, the waters just rage. Nobody can pass it. I think those are permanent boundaries, so that no one can cause war or anything like that, that it's permanently fixed. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. So it's completely safe. There is nothing. Like in the first earth age, I mean, he may have changed some things, but Satan rebelled. That was the whole big issue. Satan saying, I'm better than God, and trying to take his throne. This is the struggle that we struggle with today. It isn't a physical war, it's a spiritual war. And we are both flesh and spirit right now. So you get your spirit with knowledge. You get the word of God ingrained into you, and you're going to be ready. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. So these kings and kings of the earth, the ethnics, they come in and bring it. I'll show you in some other places in the Bible where it says it better. So where it says it better, but it's pretty straightforward. Everybody is going to be separate. It's going to be much like it was in the millennium, but now it is God with us. And so a lot of things will change as far as governmental and things like that, but they still have kings of the earth. So there is rule, there is law still. It's not like a bunch of people just running around going, yay, God's here. There's still discipline and learning and teaching, because from the eternity on, is God? What is God? What is His next plan for us? Um, what does He want to do? And are we going to be designerships with Him? Because we have this vast, open space. He made it. You know, I think really during the rebellion that maybe some of these planets that we see now that are close to the sun were habitable, and in Satan's rebellion those things are just twisted up and mangled. They're not even on their axis. So I think he may even restore that, and we may be able to go out there to different places. I don't know for a fact. I'm just putting it out there because eternity is a very long time, and it's like one day. It just keeps going on, and your spirit body, it's not like the flesh where you have to struggle to think, to learn things and things like that. It is, well, that might be a little different with the people coming out of the Gulf area because they need to be taught. But like with the 7,000, there's a place in the temple where we go in, and you know that floor area with the linen closets on the side where all the things for worship are there, our hats, gowns, everything is there. Well, there's stairs on the side that you walk up, and on the first floor is like chamber areas, and it goes up 3 floors, and on each side you can see the doors. And in that, also in the temple area, in the front area, is like a library where you can go down and sit down and just pick out a book and start reading. Your knowledge is going to be ever expanding during that time. I walked into my chamber. I was shown this. Walked in, and the first thing that I saw, I looked to my left, and there was a desk there with paper and pen. And that's all that was, in a chair. And I looked straight ahead, and there's these arched type of windows. But there was no glass or anything in it, and you could feel the breeze coming in from the ocean. And then to my right was a bed. It was like a twin-size bed. And on the bed was a bedspread. And I think it told you a lot about these little flowers I saw when I first came up to paradise. And they fascinated me. They not only praised God and sang, they were just pretty. Those were the design on that cover. I had a book in my hand, and so I laid down. And as I laid down, I started going into a really heavy sleep. Now, I don't know what all of this means. God is wonderful. So anytime you get burnt out, you just think of that, because this is only temporary. We have eternity to look for. But as I started reading, it was like I went into that book, and the angel that was with me said, whoa, 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 you need to get up. We need to leave, because the longer that you stay in here, the more you're going to be affected by that sleep. So what that means, I've looked in the Bible trying to find out what that means, and it might just be something that, it's obviously something that we know. There's also another temple. It's like in the millennium. It's in an area where there's lots of steps. I don't know. I tried to count them, and the angel told me to count them, but I was just so awed and amazed at everything. It was like I'd count and then I'd lose track. But it's in the teens. And I walked up, went into the door, but it was all white, like uh, white stone building, huge. And in there were windows on the top that went around it, and that let the light in. But in that building, all there were these white pillar stones that went all the way from the bottom to the top. That's all it was in there. And I think what that is for your ability, being one of the 7,000, being able to go to the throne of God during the millennium. So that's where, I tried to rip the curtain. I was a dumb kid, and one of the Zoe, the lion, came up to me and said, "Have reverence." And yeah, but I my sister went in there first, and then I followed, and it was like going into a tunnel, but it was all felt whirly. I think it's like a dimension, walking into a dimension, and there it came out, and there was the throne of God right there. And that's where I saw the white war horses and everything like that. So this flesh body is very, very limited. And it's hard to come back down here after seeing all that. People that have died and made it to the good side, they're very, very happy. They don't want to come back down. They know that you're going to make it, that it is up to each individual as to what they're going to do. And some of these people, they could, your family members could be your personal messenger. It is all the way that how God sees how you're going to take that message. So, you know, so like we read in, what is that, chapter, chapter 19, verse 10, when he fell on his feet, and this angel, and this is what we will look like, was just so marvelous in the things that he said, because the messenger of God, the true words of God, he was going to worship him, and he's like, no, I'm a fellow servant. I'm just here as a messenger to tell you. So in these end times, I do know that I'll be notified when I have to leave. So depending on your circumstance and where you're at, you may be told the same thing. Because I'm on like the West Coast, and this is where that celestial body crosses over. So, and I believe it's part of the wilderness where the woman Israel goes out for a time, but they have to come back. And yeah, it does get a little confusing, but we'll just keep going over it and over it. And the important thing to know through all of this is who the Kenites are, what that seed is, who's the synagogue of Satan, who has always been, and who the Kenites are. That's the bloodline, and Christ's bloodline through Jesse and David onto him to Mary. He was foretold about. John the Baptist was the one who warned people, who was the warning, who was telling people, hey, the Messiah is coming, someone who is much better than me, who, so he was the prophet who told everybody. And then when he did come in, that was a mess. I mean, but you had the Kenites there again. Just really, this is just how they work in your life. They did it to Christ. They'll try and trip you up. Satan's little arrows. So just be wary and always have the full armor of God on. That's the knowledge and the truth and the faith and the trust and the endurance. It is just every time you study the Bible, you're getting more of that on. Oh, the last thing is just remember that the fake Christ comes first. If you know that, you'll probably get through. I mean, there's a lot, it's just, are you called and chosen? Do you truly understand that, what we face? So it's just really important to just get that oil into your lamp and get it full, not halfway, full, so you can make it through. That's what happened to the 10 brides. 5 didn't make it. The other 5 did. The 7,000 got through there. Adam created mankind at this Adam before man. The Kenite line is what happened in the garden when Satan seduced, beguiled Eve, and they had sex. And that is where Cain came from. And at the same time, Adam had sex with his wife. So it created twins, but from different fathers. And so when they were kicked out, Eve had, she had Cain, and then it continued in labor, and she had Abel. So she saw the 2 different boys. One came from the Lord, which came from Satan. The other one was Adam's, where he's like, yeah, that's my son. So I'm sure that they were kind of aware what could have happened. And, I mean, they didn't have sonograms and all that kind of stuff back then, but they had a lot of help. Kenites are just another name for Cain. Cain's lineage, Kenites, the tribe. Oh. So Cain equal, yeah. Cain, the Kenites are just Cain's lineage. And they've been throughout all history, have killed all the prophets, including Christ, have just messed everything up. Those are the tares. Those are just the evil, rotten fruit, the bad figs. Oh, you're welcome, JD. That's just the concept that you need to keep going over. If you don't understand it, just keep, just keep reading in Genesis. Keep reading the Old Testament, because there's a lot of different areas where, the Kenites are. They're usually right in everything kind of fight or anything like that. They just cause problems. And but the thing is, God is so good that he offers salvation to them. So if they so choose, they can become a Christian too. It's very hard for them because they have a different spirit. Their spirit is like Satan. Just the true ugliness of humanity. So, it just, if they can see through their father's lies and their own spirit, it's just the way it's made. It is kind of sad, but Satan has his own little children down here. He copies God. So Satan has his kids, God has his kids, but all souls belong to God. And I know that sounds confusing, but each soul is made by God. The process in itself of it happening, God filled it with the Spirit. And I wouldn't be surprised at all, and this is probably so, is the Kenites are those who rebelled with Satan in the first earth age. So they get born down here, and that's who they are. So we have the Kenites in our government. They're just all over. This is the one world, that line of thinking. It's just really perverse. Trying to bring in their father Satan. That's what they call him. He is their father. Just like we say God is our father. And in a weird way, God created all souls, but in that they're kind of saying that Satan created them, which isn't true, and it's another lie, but Satan is just used to test people. So that's basically where it is, but I'll tell you, it is a lot to grasp and get a hold of, and just keep going on with it. That's all I can say. It's like each day as you study, it's going to become clearer. And pretty soon it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. Let's see. Verse 26. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. So the ethnos will be coming in to praise and worship with their representatives. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defiles. So everything has been destroyed. Any bad, any negative, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. So it's going to be pure. It's going to be clean. God, when He made us so that we have free will. Most people do. The predestined don't, because they have a purpose to do this one thing, but they overcame in the first earth age. But most people have the free will to choose whether they want to love God. It is all within themselves, what they choose and what they do in their life. So God could not make people love them. It's like an impossible thing. Well, nothing's impossible, but for Him to know if someone truly loves Him, it has to come from that person. He can't do that. You can't test someone unless you know truly, do you love me, or you're gonna go with Satan. Hi, Elisa. Let's see, Daniel, Eldon, Jim Dog. So in the end, everything, that is the whole purpose of why we're here now, being tested. You get tested and you get through, you overcome this in the flesh, then you don't have to worry about the second death, which is the death of the spirit. But all the others have to be tested. Those who went through it and worshiped Satan and didn't get through it, they have to be tested. But those who chose, like knew the truth, chose, and knew that was Satan, they don't get a chance. They go into judgment, waiting for the judgment to come. But, like most people these days don't get the opportunity to hear the truth. That's the thing. You have the 5 churches that have all this mixed doctrine that don't teach the truth. So, there's going to be a lot of people there um, who have never heard the truth, and they're, and they choose to be there. They choose to come out. So, but even in the end, I mean, we read yesterday where even after the millennium and Satan is loosed, there's a multitude following Satan again. But see, if you took that into eternity, it would wind up the same way as it did in the first earth age. So that's why, God wants peace. He wants discipline. He wants people that actually love him and revere him. So he's just, it's each person. I mean, what they decide. He does not want to destroy his children. And so he's giving you the choice. So, and like I said, even a Kenite can be saved. It is up to each person. The 7,000 is a little different, but you overcame already in the first earth age, and that's why you can be utilized now, because you've already done it. And God doesn't play favorites. It isn't like, oh, I choose you because you look good and you're nice to me or whatever. No, you get everything you deserve, good and bad. So, and he doesn't put one person up another, it's like all equal, depending on what you did in the first earth age to this age into the millennium. And at the end is the great white throne judgment. Talking is the great white throne judgment period. So, there's a lot to be learned. A lot. Zechariah, let's see. Just a few things in the Old Testament. Isaiah, if you guys haven't read that, it's such a good book. Okay, Isaiah 65. This is a very long chapter, so I'm gonna start with chapter 17. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered nor come into mind. So the question is, do we remember this age, this flesh age? No. It's all wiped out of our memories. The people, the things that we went through, it's gone. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. Just think of the best day that you've ever had in your life, and it's just 10 times expounded upon all the time. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people. This is God speaking. This is his personality. This is he's talking to you directly. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. So all the tears, all the sadness, it's all gone. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. That's kind of a little weird, but we'll all be in spiritual bodies. There won't be like the growth that we have today. Our bodies grow old. We die. There's no more death in that anymore. That is completely gone. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. So nothing's going to be taken away from you. What is yours is yours. You know, some tax man comes along and takes your house. No. They shall not plant and another eat. Just kind of like what's going on now with this inflation, and it's going to get worse, but even in the millennium, what is yours is yours. And into the eternity, what is yours, what God has given you is yours. Nobody can take it away. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. So, you know, if you're 7,000, just remember you are one of the elect. This is what who he's talking to. My people, no Ami, which means not my people, or Ami. This is what he's saying. You are my people now. I divorced you because of your idolatry. I scattered you. I've done all this, but I'm bringing you back together. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. That's the blessing of the Messiah. And he gave us the Holy Spirit. So, the Holy Spirit groans for things that we may need, that we don't even know that we need. So he's like the intercessory, and it's how the Trinity is set up. And it shall come to pass that before they, okay, we already did that one. 25, the wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, said the Lord. So there's no carnivals there, carnivores there. There's nothing that, there's no destruction. It's all spiritual. Everything is spirit bodies. Like I was telling you yesterday, in the millennium, and this is in the millennium and after, but you'll see your pets there. They'll be there waiting for you. So I don't know if it is their choosing whether they want to be there or not, but I would assume, God blessed you with that here on earth. He's going to give you your blessings in heaven. See what I mean? In the millennium. Let's see, and dust shall be the serpent's meat. So that's the essence of just humility, embarrassment. I mean, the serpent from the garden, the Antichrist. It's just all the same person, but just the role he plays. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain. So, '66. 66 is a very good chapter. And if you know how to break up, being able to see between the millennium to the first earth age to this present age, you'll be able to get through it pretty well. That's why you need to know that there was a first earth age, there is this age, and the millennium, and then the eternity. And it's simple, but the teachings of today don't even the first time I heard really about the millennium, I thought that was heaven. I didn't even know, I wasn't taught that the millennium is the time period of testing in the spirit. But everybody made it sound so good when it was just not even into the eternity yet. So it's like once you get, the different earth ages, then it gets so much easier. It really does. Um, there's 66. Let's go in 20. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of the nations. So they're coming into the new city upon horses and in chariots and in litters and upon mules and upon swift beasts to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith the Lord, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of the Lord. So they come to worship. The nations come in to worship, but not everybody. It's the representatives. And I will also take of them for priests and Levites, saith the Lord. So these are the ones that the 7,000 and the 144,000. So however their system is built up, maybe they have 7,000. I don't know. But they have that type of setup. For as the new heaven and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. You won't be blotted out. You'll be in this. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon, which is it, to another, and from one Sabbath to another, so it's from one week to the next, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. So during that time, there's going to be centralized type of worship. You'll have the ethnos coming in, you'll have the people. Everybody will be getting together to worship the Lord. And in this time, is this also in the millennium, or is this just in the new city? I saw the ethnos coming in, and it was really hard to tell by days or weeks where I was at, because it was all one day type of thing. But if the eternity is like this, I would think the millennium, a lot of the millennium follows in to the eternity, all the good stuff except for the temple. And yeah. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of men that have transgressed against me. For their worms shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. Those are the angels that transgressed. But everybody, basically, I think it's just just saying that, like with Satan, people are going to be able to see him. It was my thought that the 7,000 angels are destroyed, gone away with, because in the great white throne judgment, it is Satan first who goes in there. It doesn't say that the 7,000 follow. I think they're destroyed right then. Maybe it is their remembrance of what they did. These are really, really bad people. So, and you don't want that influence in the millennium at all. So, I think it's more of a just saying that, their destruction, their, They just have no peace because there is no peace with Satan at all. Anyway, guys, let me see if there's any. I know that one was kind of a heavy one. So there's no such thing as eternal hell. No, it is blotted out. You won't even remember it. Everything that happened from, you know, probably maybe even the first earth age, I don't know. Maybe it starts a new eternity, I don't know. But everything that happens here, like in this flesh, it's just, you're not going to remember it. It's like it didn't happen. So, as you can see, time is very fleeting here. It goes quickly. It's just a fleeting thought compared to eternity, which is, which is forever and ever and ever. And everything's going to be brought back to the former in the first rebellion, in the first earth age when Satan rebelled. All that, everything will be taken out. True north, the earth won't be tilted, it'll be straight up. There's just the water formed around the earth instead of on the earth. Enough space on this earth for everybody to live. You bring all these people together from the beginning to time to the end. There's a lot of people. So tomorrow, we'll be going into the last chapter. And that one is about the throne of God and how things will be set up in a, how the, let's see, hold on, 22, just kind of skim through this. How everything is going to be cleansed. This is very important. I'm just going to read it on verse 16. I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. Remember, going back, there's only 2 of them that passed. I am the root and the offspring of David. That's the bloodline I'm telling you about. And the bright and morning star. This is how you get through to the end. Knowing, having knowledge of who these Kenites are. So, I just got to keep going on. I don't know how you guys are, feeling about the teaching or anything like that. If I'm going too fast, but let me know. Oh, Roxanne had asked a question. What denomination or doctrine is the closest to this teaching? It's not a denomination, it is what they teach. Do they teach who the Kenites are? Nobody hardly ever teaches that. Do they teach Christ's bloodline? No. Do they teach that there is a false Messiah coming first? It has to include all these things. Do they talk about the first age, the second age, and the third age? There's, hi, Mind for Knowledge. They don't teach it. What they do is they cherry pick and they don't talk anything about, anything that may offend someone, and they don't teach chapter by chapter, verse by verse. Those are the things you look for in a church. Most denominational churches have a set type of doctrine that they all go by, a script, and they don't sway off that because they're all under this type of doctrine. So in each type of denomination, you'll hear the same things. Just, one may preach once saved, always saved, baptism. The other one might teach the rapture theory. One might teach just, they're all split up. That's why they're called denominational churches, because they're split, they're divided. So what you need to do is find a church that utilizes the entire Bible and not afraid to talk about anything. That's what you have to look for. And it's very hard to find. So tomorrow, it's kind of sad because it's the end of Revelation, but we are going to go into Ezekiel chapter 40 and through 48. And some parts are a little boring just because, you're talking about dimensions and things like that. So we'll go over that fairly quickly, and I'll show you pictures and things like that, the schematic and setup of the temple and stuff. So I will see you tomorrow again. I hope I said hello to everybody. If I missed you, I'm sorry. But I will see you tomorrow. Same place, same time, same channel. Take care.